This video is going to be so awesome. I'm going to outline 15 foods that you would not even know are somewhat healthy ketogenic foods. That's what's so cool about the keto diet, is you don't even realize that some of the foods that you're eating are actually perfect within a ketogenic diet. Now, if you watch my channel a lot, you probably know that, yes, I'm usually talking very, very healthy foods and helping you navigate that. And I'm gonna throw some of that twist into this video, but we're gonna talk about these 15 foods that you would never know are keto friendly, or you would never know are keto foods in general. But then I'm gonna give you some strategies to mitigate the risk and how to choose the right versions of these so you lessen the negative impact on your body, because we do wanna live for a long time, we do wanna be healthy. Hey, I do want to make sure you hit the red subscribe button and then hit that little bell icon so you never miss our daily videos. Okay, let's have some fun. So the first one, I want to give some serious credit to my crew, because this is like their serendipitously like their favorite food unanimously, and that's buffalo wings. Most people wouldn't think that buffalo wings are keto, but there's some rules that you need to follow with buffalo wings. So let's talk about that for a second. I am not the biggest fan of the fatty acid profile of chicken or poultry to begin with. It's kind of a low quality fat, so it's not something I would normally opt for. However, when you're talking to someone that's not doing the keto diet and you're eating buffalo wings, they're gonna look at you like, how are you dieting? Like, you're eating that. Well, here's the rules you need to follow. Okay, go for the wings instead of the drumsticks. Okay, the drumsticks have a lot more fat than the wings do. Try to go for, of course, whenever possible, you can get ones that have less skin on them, but definitely don't go for the breaded ones. The other thing that I would recommend is, whenever possible, just make them at home. My videographer, JR, got an air fryer. He makes them with an air fryer all the time, and then you just get some wing sauce that's super good quality. Quick tip on the wing sauce: get one that is not based in canola oil, because there is oil in a wing sauce. So if you use like Frank's Red Hot or something like that, you can take Frank's Red Hot, you can add some of your own oil to it or whatever you want to do to make it a little bit thicker. Point is, avoid the soybean oil, avoid the canola oil when you look for a wing sauce. Okay, let's move into the next one, which is a little bit of an obvious one. Yeah, cheese. Okay, but here's the thing. Most cheese platters are going to have lower quality cheese in them. Okay, they're going to have like basically the fake mozzarella, the fake cheddar, things like that. Spend a couple extra dollars and go for the aged cheese platters. Okay, the ones that have the Romano, the ones that have the Parmesan, the ones that have the aged Gouda. The longer that a cheese is aged, the easier it is on your body, less lactose. Now, the reason I say this isn't because I think you should go eat cheese. The point is like, if you're on a ketogenic diet and people are looking around you, most people would never think that cheese is a diet food. Anyhow, let's move on to the next one. Macadamia nuts, Brazil nuts, walnuts, and almonds. Okay, in that order. Now again, obvious keto foods, but I list them here because they definitely make the list. Okay, people would normally not think that like some kind of trail mix or something like that is going to be keto friendly. But I don't want to spend a lot of time on that one. I want to move on to the next one, which is heavy cream, whipped cream. Okay, take heavy cream, whip it up, and add stevia or monk fruit to it. Okay, plain and simple. That is a ketogenic food. Now, fun fact, use heavy cream in your coffee instead of half and half. Here's why. Heavy cream is lower carbohydrate. Yes, it's a few more calories, but it doesn't have the lactose. It doesn't have the milk sugar. Half and half is just that, half milk and half cream, which means that you're left with the milk sugars, which of course have carbs, but more importantly, the inflammatory components of dairy. Who drinks milk these days? Like, milk, it's kind of common knowledge that straight up milk is not good. You're drinking the pure milk sugar. So let's avoid that out of the equation altogether and just go with the heavy cream. Put that in your coffee, make it into a whipped cream and put it on top of your coffee. You would never know it's keto if you weren't knowing what you were looking for. Neufchâtel cheese. Okay, now cream cheese, obviously. I recommend Neufchâtel and going a little bit leaner. Okay, so cream cheese, the third less fat cream cheese. Why? Because you don't need to load yourself up with copious amounts of fat on a ketogenic diet. All right, that's old school. That's like 2 years ago ketogenic diet. We're now learning that in order to actually yield the true fat loss effects, we need to deprive ourselves of fats temporarily, which means opt for the slightly lower fat ketogenic options. Fat is good for you, but you don't need to be having fat just for fat's sake, right? So Neufchâtel cheese, make a cream cheese out of it. Mix it up with a little bit of butter, a little bit of egg, and make an actual cream cheese. Add some sweetener to it. Bingo, you're off to the races. One of the things that I like to do is take lox with a little bit of cream cheese and make myself a little breakfast treat. So sometimes I'll use crepinis, which are these little like egg thins. Sometimes I'll make a flax bread. Sometimes my wife will make flax bagels. Thing is, it's simple, and you can definitely get the best tasting breakfast that you would ever have, and it's totally keto friendly. Next one is dark chocolate. Okay, not dark chocolate with a bunch of sweetener in it, but what you do is you get straight baking chocolate, the unsweetened 100% dark stuff. Okay, pure cacao or pure cocoa, good stuff. That has a huge effect in terms of endocannabinoids. Has a huge effect in what's called anandamide. So anandamide is an endocannabinoid that allows you to feel good. That's what we're after. That's why you feel so good when you eat chocolate. But the other thing is, it's high in what's called stearic acid. It's a specific kind of saturated fat that does not affect your LDL levels. Yes, you heard me right. A saturated fat that does not affect LDL. In fact, it can positively influence your cholesterol levels. Eat up with that dark chocolate. What I like to do is melt it down, microwave it, oven it, whatever you want to do, and then add a little bit of stevia and a little bit of monk fruit. When it's melted, mix it up, put it on some wax paper, put that sucker in the freezer, and boom, you've got your own sweetened chocolate that doesn't have erythritol, doesn't have sugar alcohols, doesn't have corn syrup solids, doesn't have any kind of weird sugar alcohol that's going to bloat you. Straight up, simple chocolate. Jerky or beef sticks. Now, huge caveat with this one. Do not get any jerky or beef stick that has soy in it. Do not get one that has soy sauce or has wheat in it. That is going to be, in my opinion, garbage. You want to get good, clean, grass-fed, grass-finished meat sticks. Huge shout out to Chomps. Okay, Chomps, you've probably seen them in a lot of my videos. They are hands down the go-to meat stick. Okay, they've got turkey, they've got beef, they've got venison, which is my personal favorite. 100% grass-fed, grass-finished venison, which is super lean, amazing fatty acid profile, and there's no hidden nasties, no GMOs, none of that stuff. It's just good, clean meat. So it's basically like having a steak at your fingertips. So really awesome stuff. You can find them at grocery stores, but I've also gone ahead and I've linked them out down below so you can get my special discount using my code. So that way, after you finish watching this video, if you want to get your hands on the perfect portable on-the-go keto snack that no one's going to know is keto, make sure you check them out. Huge shout out to them, and thank you for supporting this channel, Chomps. You guys are awesome. Guacamole makes the list. Simple, but still very powerful. Why does it make the list? Well, it makes the list not just because it's delicious, but it makes the list because, in my opinion, it is a powerhouse. It is a superfood. Why? The specific fats. It is very high in the monounsaturated fat known as oleic acid. Oleic acid activates interesting pathways in the body. Okay, it activates something known as PPAR alpha, which indirectly increases your core body temperature. So studies have shown that oleic acid, which you're going to find in avocados, you're going to find it in olives, you're going to find it in some degree with sesame oil. Point is, it is powerful. The studies have found that it does have very powerful metabolic effects, but it's also a great antioxidant. So it converts into something called oleoethanolamine within the body. That doesn't really matter right now. Point is, it makes the cut, and if you're loading up on it, people are going to think, there's no way this person's on a diet. But indeed you are. I'm from the wine country originally. I'm from Sonoma, Napa area. I grew up there, met my wife there, spent a lot of time there. Okay. Now, I love that area, but I never grew up a big wine connoisseur. I never drank a lot of wine, probably because I was just surrounded by people that were just consuming it all the time. I just never developed much of an affinity for it. However, I do know my wines, and I know good wines, and I know bad wines, and I know how to pair it. I could probably tell you exactly what you should be consuming with your shrimp scampi or what you should be consuming with your steak because I was immersed in it. And I can honestly tell you, yes, you can have some wine on a ketogenic diet. It's probably one of the only diets where people are going to be like, what? You're drinking wine. How does this work? You just have to keep it in moderation. No more than 4 or 5 ounces. Try to go for a dry wine. Try to go for ones that are obviously lower sugar content. Try to go for good quality reds. I usually recommend some kind of a Merlot or a Cab, something like that. Try to go for the ones, again, that are dry and not as sweet. White wines are usually a little bit higher carbohydrate. Anyhow, that makes the list. All right, this one can be a little sneaky, but it's powerful. Pork rinds. Okay. And the cool thing is, yes, pork rinds, you're going to find different varieties of them, but for the most part, they're just plain old fat. Okay, try to get ones that are baked versus fried. Okay, the baked versions are going to be a little bit leaner and they're not going to have the additional oils that are coming in. So what they do is they'll take skin, or they'll take fat and skin, and they'll put it in oil and fry it. Well, if they're putting it in canola oil or soy oil, you're basically defeating the whole purpose. You're just loading yourself with a lower quality fat. But the baked ones don't have added oil to them. Okay, there's a couple of brands that I can think of that have baked. You just have to look for it on the label, and that's usually the best route to go with the pork rinds. However, full disclaimer, these suckers are full of calories, so you don't want to have more than like 5, 6, 7 at a time. It's easy to eat half the bag, and next thing you know, you've had 400 calories. So just fair warning there. Okay, cheese crisps, parm crisps, things like that. We see them all the time. Very calorically dense, but they still will work well on a ketogenic diet, and something that I would recommend just a little void fill now and then. What I do recommend that you pay attention to is that once again, you're getting aged cheese. I'm not anti-moon cheese and some of these brands that are taking cheddar, okay? Those have their place, but always try to opt for things that are Parmesan, Romano, things like that, because once again, lower lactose content, lower beta-casein effect within the body, lower conversion into what's called BCM7, which is a bioactive opioid within the body. You're not gonna get quite as addicted to like Parmesan crisps or Romano as you would to say like a cheddar or something like that. Just food for thought. I was trepidatious to put this next one on the list, but it still does fit in, at least from a macronutrient perspective, and that's peanut butter. Now, one thing you have to pay attention to with peanut butter, it doesn't make my top list, but it does make this list. Yes, it's going to fit the macronutrient profile, but a lot of the peanut butters out there are still loaded with hydrogenated oils. Okay, what that means is they take the fats that are naturally occurring in peanuts, and they know that those fats tend to go rancid pretty quick. So what they'll do is they'll add a hydrogen molecule to make them stable. They're making a non-saturated fat saturated so that it can stay on the shelf longer. Well, that hydrogenated fat is a trans fat that does not break down in your body. Sure, it's bad for your heart, but let's look at it from an inflammation standpoint. It takes 51 days to break down half of the CIS bond with a trans fat. What that simply means is this stuff's hanging around in your body, causing some turmoil at a cellular level for a long time. So always opt for the peanut butter that is either one that you have to stir or at least one that has no hydrogenated oils in it. You also have to be cognizant of high oleic oils because it's still a sneaky way around it. Even though high oleic isn't all that bad, it's still something that they're adulterating to make something shelf stable. Always opt for almond butter, mac nut butter, sunflower butter whenever possible, but peanut butter still makes the list. You can have a tablespoon or two. This one's not a super sneaky food. It probably is considered more of a health food, but I put it on this list. Pumpkin seeds. Simply because they're a superfood. For me, pumpkin seeds are one of the best sources of zinc, one of the best sources of magnesium that you can get in a simple whole food form, meaning it's bioavailable. So sure, people are gonna see you munching on pumpkin seeds and they might think, yeah, that guy's probably on a diet. Why is he eating pumpkin seeds and not eating a candy bar? But it still makes the list because it's still snack food at the end of the day. All right, drum roll please. Did you know that berries can actually be ketogenic if you have just a small amount of them? Yeah, they're low glycemic enough. If you have a quarter to a half a cup of berries, depending on the size of you, you can actually stay in ketosis. You would never think that someone's on a low carb, high fat diet while they're eating a cup of berries, right? I recommend having some blackberries, having some blueberries, having some strawberries in a small amount. Why? Because it's going to get you through the day. One of the things that you see at a lot of keto functions and kind of in this community is heavy whipping cream with a little bit of stevia and a couple strawberries. Okay, it gives you that, gives you that sweet factor that you need without having to go down the road of a bunch of artificial sweeteners or a bunch of sugar alcohols. I honestly would rather have a couple grams of fructose coming from fruit than I would having just a smorgasbord of erythritol and just stevia, to be completely honest. Not that that stuff's bad, but it just feels a little bit adulterated. Have whole foods if you can. And this one's for the veggie crowd, zucchini. Zucchini is unlike squash. It's a little bit lower carbohydrate content. And I put it on the list because, well, people ask about it all the time. I know it's not the funnest one in the world to talk about, but it's still going to give you that illusion of having something a little bit starchy and at least, kind of fills the void, so to speak. Make sure you comment which videos you want to see in the future, and I'll see you tomorrow.